I don't know if you know who I am. I see a lot of faces I haven't seen before, so apparently the word's getting out, and that's fantastic. But my name is John Laughlin. I used to be on the path to becoming a pastor. And I say that and I cringe a little, you know, but because that's how I grew up and that's how I spent my childhood, was with my family kind of telling me what to do. And it was fun. I learned a lot. The trick is they taught me maybe a little too much. Right? So here I am, and what I really like about the community that we have here in the short few months that I've been here is we have that environment where people can come together and enjoy each other's company and have that community that you wouldn't otherwise have if there wasn't something like exactly this. One of the things that I hear from people that kind of don't walk around in faith all the time is the one thing that they miss from their faithful days is having the community, you know, having the music and the people to talk to, and having that sense of family that comes about from being around other people. And I look out here today and I see a lot of people, for the most I've seen since I've been coming here, and it warms my heart that we all have a place to be, that we all have a place to be. Who's here for the first time today?
Oh, first time today?
Yes, the first time today. Yes. Anybody who was not also here this morning? Okay, let me. Who arrived at the Center for Science and Wonder today for the first time? All right. Excellent. Now I'm going to make somebody uncomfortable, but that's okay. I'm going to start with Molly because I kind of get the feeling she's cool. All right? Can she introduce herself to me this morning? Molly.
Hi.
Do you live in Las Vegas?
Yes, I do, for 36
You
years.
do. What prompted you to come here today?
What brought me here?
What brought you here?
Actually, I was looking for some type, a support group, and everybody was sending me to Grief Share, which is 100% God-based, and I'm 100% atheist, so I didn't figure that would work. You know, they'd be talking about Christ, I'd be in the corner eating a baby. You know, just wouldn't make a good fit. So somebody wrote me and told me about this. And
awesome.
I looked it over, and I was going to go to a Wednesday night potluck, but the topic today just drove me.
There you go.
Nice.
And I imagine pretty much anybody else who showed up for the first time has a similar story. Okay, so who's got their smartphone on them? Pull them out. No, it's okay. You don't have to demonstrate. It's cool. I believe you. So, everybody, if you can, go to Facebook, search Seesaw. It's really easy. Center for Science and Wonder. I'm sorry. I should have been more specific. CSAW. If you go to our page and you click check in, you check in, and it helps us show up better in Facebook search listings as well, by the way. So if you wouldn't mind checking in, that would be nice. And hopefully, either now or before you leave today, if you could post a review, preferably 5 stars, but it's okay to be honest. If it's terrible, you know, maybe 4. But this helps us to show other people that we would like to be involved in the community, who we are, what we do, and that people like it when they're here. And I think we're dying. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just not talking loud enough. Who knows? All right, so is everybody done doing that? Can I just get a show of hands of how many people have said check in? Look at that. Might be a record. Good times. Okay, so what I want to do right now is something a little funny. If anybody here has had a fantastic experience with the Center for Science and Wonder and has an example of something that they would like to do or something that has been done that just is powerful for them, and you're comfortable doing so, talk about it. Who we got? Anybody? Okay. Oh, Amy.
Oh gosh.
Come on, Amy.
I wouldn't want to actually say anything.
Oh, okay. Do you not want to say anything?
No, I'll say that there's been so many fantastic things that have happened here that it's hard to pick one, but our story slam has just been fantastic. It's been, you know, a dream come true for me to have, you know, be a part of something that is bringing the art of storytelling to Las Vegas, and so it's really nice to have this community here for various reasons.
When's the next one?
The next one is next month. Kevin, when is it? The 20.
When's the next story
The
slam?
23rd.
The 23rd.
The policy of truth.
The
That should
policy
be an
of
interesting
truth.
one.
If somebody wants to be there,
They should find us on Facebook and send us a message,
okay.
or come up and talk to me and Kevin.
What if they want to tell their story there?
Same deal.
There you go.
Yep.
So who's afraid of public speaking?
No, you never raise your hand up here.
No. I have tried to get you guys up here to tell your stories, so those hands better be up there, because that's what you tell me every time. No.
Public speaking, maybe it's afraid of raising hand.
Well, I want to share something because I think it's important. And I'm sweating for some unknown reason. Is it hot in here? Okay.
We got a swamp cooler to cool that room, so yeah, I'm lucky.
There you go, that's okay. So, the last 4 years of my life have been a really interesting story. I won't get into tremendous detail, but let's just say that at home, on a semi-regular basis, there were kind of bad things happening, right? Not a lot of fun. My family was homeless for the better part of a month. We were living in a Super 8 motel. It was rough. And I didn't really feel like I had anybody to go to, and I felt like I would have been an absolute hypocrite walking in the door of a church and saying, hey, do you have any resources to help with finding a place to live? You know, I lived in a car for the better part of 3 weeks myself, actually. And I never found anybody that I could say, hey, I'm having a hard time and I didn't know who to go to. Now, coming to Las Vegas, I've been good. I've got family here. I probably needed to come back. I was in Denver at the time. But finding this community and finding the people that I've found here that I've been able to lean on when I was having a hard time with something has been absolutely powerful. To be able to pick up the phone, you know, talk to my friend Amy, to talk to my friend Cassandra, to reach out to any number of you and say, can I just talk to you? Because I'm fighting with something. That's huge for me. And unfortunately, I think for the people that we are and the people that we don't have that community except for here. So I'm really glad to know all of you. I'm really glad to see all the faces that are here. I'm really glad to have all of these friends. And if you feel the same way, you know, round of applause for them. Thanks everyone for getting out to
Thank you, John. I feel like anything I could say in describing Assembly is going to pale in comparison to John's story. But hi, I'm Cassandra Ciccone. I'm going to be your MC today. One of the things we do at Assembly is we sing. So I'm going to ask you to give a round of applause to welcome our Some Assembly Required band.
Hey everybody, we'd ask that you stand up and join us with your voices and with hand claps. Make it bold. You can dance if you want.
You can leave your friends behind. What if you don't get?
Well, there's no French tomorrow.
You ready? Hello, goodbye. You say yes.
Can I get another round of applause for and Carson. So I think John already went through like who was new and who had been here before, but each assembly we start by just giving a brief summary of what assembly is. 100% celebration of life. We come from nothing, we go to nothing. Let's enjoy the time we have together here. The Sunday Assembly motto is live better, help often, and wonder more. We're not going to tell you how to live your best life, but if we can help you do it, we're going to try. So a couple weeks ago, we went to the Sunday Assembly Conference in San Diego. When I say we, it was me, Kevin, Sierra, Sean, John, some of you are familiar with these people, some of you aren't. And it was amazing. And if you don't know, Sunday Assembly is international. It's not just Vegas, it's not just the United States. There's an assembly in New Zealand, South Africa, Belgium, few in England. Originally started in England, so we have people from all over the world. We alternate sides of the pond for conferences. Last year was Utrecht by Amsterdam, and this year was San Diego. Next year might be Scotland. They're trying to figure that out right now, which I'm excited about. And then the year after that, I'll be back here in the United States. If you have the financial wherewithal to go, I highly recommend it. It's an amazing thing. It's being in a room full of people, like 100 to 200 people who all represent that. Get shit done, know how to have fun, and then, yeah, they're all circled in there. And I came away just completely energized and revitalized and refocused, particularly with the idea of making this a joyous celebration of life. We have had some times where we've shied away from things, from the worry of maybe alienating people who are a little more on the sedate side, who are maybe a little scared of that churchy experience, that if we come too close to being a churchy experience, even without supernatural involvement, that people will go away. The realization I had is that if somebody comes into this room and says, ah, you know what, this is too joyous and exuberant, maybe they're not assembly people. Like, and I definitely don't want anybody coming in for that experience and walking away going, meh, I could have gone in a single lecture at UNLV. So, a couple little things that we came away with. We have in our charter that we are a radically inclusive congregation that celebrates life. And radically inclusive is a wonderful thing to say, but with the organizers, and there's hundreds of them around the world, what does that actually mean? Because there are times in life where people don't fit into a group. If we're radically inclusive and we have members who are trans or gay, and we have people coming who are openly transphobic or homophobic, do we have a say if it says radically inclusive? So the Sunday Assembly, I forgot which one in California, came up with that. We welcome all, we welcome all. Literally this morning, Kevin and Sierra were pressing it on the t-shirts. So we want, yeah. And another phrase, we practice science-based altruism. So we don't have a book telling us what we're supposed to do. We're certainly not believing in a God that's telling us what to do. So the way we figure it out is things that are demonstrably good for us and good for other people. And even just the fact that people who do volunteer, who give themselves in service of others, studies have shown they live happier, more fulfilled lives. So, you know, we volunteer, we help each other because science. And it's a little bit of a fast transition here, but I got through mostly everything I wanted to say. So I'm going to bring the band back up, and we're going to sing again. If I could, anybody who can, to please stand, and we're gonna sing along. Welcome the band.
it's not really like, you know, people might have opinions on it, but can we please do it? Sure. Let's do it. I love a 7-year-old, he loves this song. Over and over and over.
Good?
Literally like a year and a half to 2 years wanting that song and trying to convince band members to do it. I'm sorry, Bob, I keep swearing. Okay, and we're going to get to our speakers today. Matthew O'Brien is an author, editor, and adjunct professor who has lived in Las Vegas since 1997. His books include Beneath the Neon, Life and Death in the Tunnels of Las Vegas, and My Week at the Blue Angel and Other Stories from the Storm Drains, Strip Clubs, and Trailer Parks of Las Vegas. He's also the founder of Shine a Light, a community project that provides housing, drug counseling, and other services to people living in the drains. We are very lucky to have him because he is not going to be a Las Vegan for much longer. Let's give a warm welcome to Matt O'Brien.
So it was the spring of 2002. I was the managing editor at City Life newspaper, and I was chained to my desk reading the morning paper, and I read about a guy named Timmy T.J. Weber. It was a big case in Las Vegas at the time. He had murdered his living girlfriend, one of her young teenage sons, and raped one of her young daughters and was on the run. He was actually featured on America's Most Wanted. And he had finally been captured in the RJ. It's good? Yeah. Okay. He had finally been captured, and the RJ wrote a story about it. And he had mentioned, it was the throwaway paragraph at the end, that he had used the underground flood channels to go underneath a dragnet the police had set up for him. And that really captured my imagination. I wondered what he experienced down in these underground flood channels, what he heard, what he saw, what he smelled. But again, I was managing editor and buried in paperwork, but we had a freelance writer, kind of a Hunter S. Thompson gonzo type named Josh Ellis. Some of you may know Josh. So I said, Josh, go check out these sewers. I didn't even know the terminology of these things. And I called Josh a week later and said, you know, how'd it go? And he explained he had walked a tunnel that started downtown near Cashman Field and went about 5 miles north and emptied at the Las Vegas Wash, and there was water in it, and there was crawfish swimming around, and he would look up the manhole shafts and see clothing hanging down. And not knowing anything about this world, I was fascinated. I said, well, go check some more of these places out. And he, if you know Josh, he, you know, like all of us, he struggled at times. He was living at home with his mom, didn't have a car. So I said, look, I'll pick you up this weekend and we'll drive around and see if we can find some more of these tunnels. And so that's how it got started. Josh and I, heavily armed, and frightened, we're driving around looking for these channels. We didn't have a map. We didn't really know where these were. I think we were both wearing hard hats. He was in a trench coat and carrying a big knife. I had a golf club that I was using for a walking stick and for self-defense if necessary. And we would find a tunnel and come up on it, and we would just yell from the outside, hello, anyone in here? As if someone was going to say, yeah, come on in, guys. And then we would gradually creep in, and we found enough interesting stuff down there that we wrote 2 cover stories for City Life that kind of went viral before that was even a word. And so we knew there was something there. Josh ended up moving to the Bay Area, and I wanted to, Josh and I looked at like 5 or 6 of these tunnels, interviewed a few people. There are more than 200 miles of tunnels beneath Las Vegas, and I wanted to see what else was down there. We had seen enough to really get my interest. So in the summer of 2004, I took a sabbatical from City Life newspaper and explored all the underground flood channels, or as many as I could. Not heavily armed. I had an expandable baton in the small of my back, and I was dressed more kind of typically, wanted to blend in a little more, and I had a wire mic clipped to my collar, hanging from a holster on my hip, because you have to hold a flashlight and walk, and you need balance and stuff. So I explored all the underground flood channels and found hundreds of people living down there. That was not common knowledge. When I told Josh to go check these sewers out, I was thinking he would find some ironic debris, some graffiti, you know, some weird stuff like that. I was not expecting for hundreds of people to be living down in these flood channels. So that research, along with the research Josh and I had done, were incorporated into my first book, Beneath the Neon. And it's basically me, a first-person narrative of me taking a flashlight and this baton and walking the tunnels. And it's my observations on what's above ground. A few of these tunnels go under landmarks, Caesar's Palace, MGM Grand, the Hard Rock. One of the worst skid rows I've seen in my life was a bunch of heroin addicts living beneath the Hard Rock Hotel Casino when it was a really hip happening casino. And part of the idea of the book was that I wanted to raise awareness of this, the fact that people were living down in these tunnels, some as old as 70 years old, some as young as teenagers, living down there, and I was hoping that the government or a local nonprofit would do something to help the people. Of course, my worst fear was that the cops would go down there and just sweep everyone out. We have a history of criminalizing the homeless here in Las Vegas. Neither one of those were realized, so I did something that I've really never done. As a journalist, I always felt, or I was told, that you can't be too involved in the issue, you can't be conflicted. But I wanted to give something back to the people who I met down there who had shared their life story with me. So in 2009, I started a community project called Shine a Light. It's very grassroots. It's me working with anyone who wants to do anything to help the people who are living down in there. It started with me just going down with the census group to count homeless in the tunnels, or as many as we could. And then it morphed into me, family members sending me mail that I would carry down into the tunnels for the people who live down there. A lot of them don't have mailboxes, that's a big problem. People donating bottled water to me that I would take down during the summertime. I did a video with CrowdRise, an online fundraising website, and we raised $15,000 in 24 hours for Shine a Light, which I had never really tried to get a budget for it before, but so that was great as well. So, Beneath the Neon was a very dark documentary style book about the people living down there and their struggles and their hopes of getting out, but there wasn't much of a light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. So I realized through Shine a Light, through organizations like Help of Southern Nevada, US Vets, or just on their own, hundreds of people have gotten out of these tunnels and turned their lives around. So my latest book project is I'm interviewing people who have made it out of these tunnels. And they have some incredible stories of redemption. I start by asking them what's your earliest memory, and I work up to high school, them moving to Las Vegas, discovering the tunnels, what their life was like in the tunnels, and more so, how did you get out of the tunnels? What are the lessons you learned on this remarkable journey? And I want this book to be more educational and inspirational than my first one. I've interviewed 32 people so far. And the research for this book allowed me to come across a person I had not known in the tunnels. I went down there the summer of 2004, and I've gone back and forth down in there off and on for many years, but mostly the central tunnels, the ones around the Strip and downtown. But a guy named David Strickland put me in touch with a guy named Paul, and I went over to Paul's house and interviewed him, and he shared his remarkable story with me. So I would like to introduce Paul to come up and share his story with me.
Good afternoon. My name is Paul, and first of all, thank you guys for having me here. This is pretty cool. It's pretty cool what you guys got going on here, and I respect that. I don't know, not never, but I've just kind of gotten into this whole public speaking thing outside of what it is that I'm involved in, so I'll just kind of tell my story and how I found the tunnels and kind of how I made it out. But I grew up in this town. I was born and raised in this town. Vegas is pretty much all I've ever known. My mom was very involved in drugs and alcohol. When I was growing up, she was actually a working girl for most of my life as a child. And so I was back and forth to a lot of different families. I moved around a lot, and I kind of saw her and what she was doing, and I had told myself for many years, like, I wasn't going to be like her. I wasn't going to end up the way that she was, living her life. And so I ventured off, and I got into theater at a really young age. It was something that kind of turned my attention away from the real world. And I got really, really involved in theater. And through that interest, I got accepted into the Las Vegas Academy out here as a theater major. And that's really kind of where I got comfortable first in life. I really didn't fit in anywhere prior to this. I felt very alone and isolated prior to this. And at LVA, I kind of came into myself and got really comfortable with the environment and really kind of started to dive in to finding myself, really. And through that came drugs and alcohol. And you know, as a teenager and not really having much parental guidance and completely forgetting, swearing it off forever, I decided, sure, why not? And thus started another 10 years of struggling with ups and downs with drugs and alcohol. And really, I could say that there was a period where it was fun, and then there was a period where there was fun and problems, and then there was a period where there was just problems. And I lived in those problems, I would say, for about 6 years, where I was homeless for the first time. Well, I was homeless my sophomore year for a couple months, but I was homeless for the first time in adulthood at like 19 years old. And I lived above ground and on top, as we talk about it. And I was homeless in a car, and I kind of pulled myself out of that and got motivated and went to school. And I was a heroin addict, and so I would make it a few months, and I was doing okay, and then something would draw me back into it, and something would draw me back into it, and I could never really refocus myself positively. I always seemed to run into some kind of wall that would pull me back in, and so as time went by, eventually any kind of bridge that I ever had formed faded. My family really didn't want to have anything to do with me. Any kind of friendship that I had ever created was fading away, and eventually it was just me, my backpack, and homelessness. And I did that for about a year and a half, and one day I was out in front of an In-N-Out, and I was panhandling, and there was about 4 or 5 guys, bigger guys, and we call them old-timers. These guys, you know who they are. They've been homeless for years. One guy's got dreads down to his waist that he's been growing since he started being homeless. And they kind of came up to me and they tried aggressively to get me to move on. And you know, I had reached a point where I never really thought I want to die, like I'm over life. But I kind of got to a point where I didn't care. I didn't care what happened. I woke up, it didn't matter what the end of the day looked like. It didn't really cross my mind that there was, gotta protect myself. Like my self-preservation skills had gone out the door. And I stood up to like these guys, and I was kind of rewarded, I guess if you could say that, in the sense that they left me alone, and a couple hours later one of the guys that was there came up to me and he's like, you know what, kid, you got heart. And he's like, why don't you come on down to where we stay? And I had heard about the tunnels, I knew about them, but one of the things that I knew very well about them is you don't go down there. You don't just welcome yourself down there. It's nothing, it's a whole different game. It's by invite only, if that makes sense. Like as if it's some kind of, you know, club. And but that's really, by all effect, what it is. And I had gotten my invite, and I went down there with them. And you know, it's in retrospect, I look back and I think to myself, like, what a sad state of affairs, or really the insanity that I was living in. But when I got down there, I felt a sense of relief. Because one, I had walls and a roof again. I was like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, we got four walls around us down here. And they had couches, and they had dressers, and they had fire pits, and they had mattresses and beds. And it was like a whole new game. And when I went down there was about 15 people in that particular stretch of tunnel. And it's about 1.5 miles long. And there was certain rules. One, there was a way to come in and go out, and it was a call, and that way they knew that who was coming in lived there. And the other one was that you didn't mess with anybody else's stuff. Like that was like major no-no. The other was basically what you see here, you let it stay here. Because it's its own, it's like the Wild West. There's its own set of laws and its own set of morals. And the way they handle their problems down there. And lastly, it was that you don't bring anybody else down here. This is ours. You know, this isn't for you to just bring. And I think I followed every one of those rules except for the last one. Because I got this brilliant idea that I was going to change this and I was going to start selling drugs out of the flood channels, and the cops would never find me because they weren't going to come down here. And that was the name of the game for me. And eventually I stayed down there for a total of 3 years. And by the time it was over, I was the only one left in that stretch. They had all left, and I would run into them up top, and I would be like, "Hey man, where you at?" And they're like, "Oh, we're in a different tunnel." And I'm like, "Yeah, where's that?" And they're like, "Yeah, I'm good." You know, I become unwanted amongst the unwanted, and yeah, you know, I mean, that's kind of a low place to be, you know. And, no pun intended, right? And so, anyway, you know, I can tell you this, is my experience in the tunnels, if I had 2-3 hours to explain it to you, it would still be in part. So much happened down there, so many moments that I think truly it was just me and my insanity at battle, and I had kind of resigned to the fact that there was no way out. I really kind of came to the idea that I wasn't going to be able to pull myself out of this. There was no escape, and I spent days in there. Well, you know, okay. So one time, just real quick, it was raining, and I'm standing at the end of the tunnel, and it was an entrance that was about 1.5 miles away from where my camp was, and I'm watching the water rise because it's raining, and I'm standing there watching it. And something came over me, because usually we just say, "Oh, there it goes," you know, there goes all our stuff, and watching the mattress come out. And the dresser come out, and then the door come out. I don't know why I had a door, but I had a door. And the door come out, and I'm like, you know, and I was so tired of watching my stuff just get washed away. And so I just went running into the tunnel against the stream, and to this day I could never tell you why. There was just this sense of like it didn't matter. And I went running into the tunnel, and I tried to grab everything I could save. And that was pretty much my life every couple months. Every couple months, everything I would build up would get washed away. And one day I was sitting down there, and I like to say that a cricket saved my life. 2 cops and a cricket. And this is something I will tell you forever. 2 cops and a cricket saved my life, because I was sitting down there, and more so the cricket than the cops. I'm going to give real credit where credit's due, you know. And I'm sitting there, and I'm doing my thing, and I got my flashlight on my head, and I was really good at finding the best of the best, and this flashlight was really bright, and I'm doing my thing, and I remember saying to myself I was going to leave. And my exit strategy was I was going to go live in a tunnel in Summerlin, because I was in Henderson. You know what I mean? That was my exit strategy, was get out of Henderson and go and live in a tunnel in Summerlin. And to me, it was a good exit strategy, you know. Like, and I'm sitting there and I'm doing my thing, and this cricket jumps in my line of sight. And this isn't the first time, and if I had stayed down there any longer, it sure wouldn't have been the last. And I started having a conversation with this cricket. It was this big black cricket. And I told him, like, he kind of kept jumping a little bit closer, and I'm like, "Don't you do it, man." And he jumps right at me, and I freak out, and I throw everything that was on my lap all over around me, and now I catch this resentment against this cricket because he ruined my night, and I spent the next 1.5 hours trying to find that cricket out of a resentment. You know, I was going to kill this cricket for ruining my night, and as I'm looking for this cricket, I see 2 bright lights hit the end of the tunnel, and I knew who they were. There was only one set of people that found the brighter flashlight than I, and that was the cops. You know, they had access to flashlights that I would kill for, and they came in and they asked me my name and my social, and I remember I paused for a minute because I had lied to the cops plenty of times before, and I knew I had warrants, and I sit there and I stared at them, and I thought, well, I know one thing. I know that their radios don't work in the tunnel. So I could give them any name and any social I want, but I would have plenty of time to get away before they could actually run anything. And I stood there for a minute, and I stared at them, and I just kind of exhaustingly just gave them my real information. And they were like, so how long would it take you to get your stuff and come out? And I said, 2 minutes. And they said, okay. And they go walking out one end of the tunnel, and I go running out the other. And I'm running in the dark, which I got really good at. Let me explain. Like anytime, and I had trained myself to do this. Anytime I tried to do this prior, I would run into a wall and find myself on the ground, and constantly, because it's pitch black down there, and I ran down this whole tunnel in the pitch black, and I made it out. And I had my headlight, mind you, around my neck. Not any kind of wherewithal to turn that on, but it's all right. You know what I mean? I make it all the way out the tunnel, and I scale this 9-foot wall, and like I had this like immaculate escape, and I get to the finish line and decide that I wasn't going to run. There was some kind of surrender, and I thought, you know what, all I really want is a cigarette and a Dr. Pepper, and I'm good. You know, and I did just that. I walk over to Panera Bread, I get a Dr. Pepper, I bum the cigarette, and I stand outside and smoking it outside of Lowe's, and the cop rolls up and he goes, what happened? And I go, you asked me to leave. He goes, I asked you to come out. I said, well, I came out. I don't understand what the problem is. He's like, well, you know you have warrants. And I was like, yeah, I know. And so he takes me to jail. And in my mind, I had a year over my head, and I thought, well, that's probably the best thing for me. I mean, three hots in a cot, as they call it. You know, I've fed better than I'd ever been fed in the last 3 years. And 50 days into it, a judge pulls me into his courtroom, and he says, how about drug court? I said, sure, man. Like, why not? You know what I mean? Like, when are you going to let me out? And he's like, I'll let you out next week. And I'm like, well, then I'll do it. You know what I mean? Let's do drug court. You know, from there, they offered me a set of skills and a set of opportunities that I really didn't know how to redeem. Like, I didn't know how to go out and do these things on my own. And they gave me a set of things to do and a little bit of guidance, and I followed through with these things. And in lieu of that, I started to kind of rebuild my self-esteem. I started to kind of feel good about who I was again, and what I was capable of doing, and that I didn't have to get lost in this pattern of things that I had been doing for so long, and I didn't have to be like her, and I could actually find myself again, and I proceeded to do that. And the opportunities that have presented themselves are in spite of me, not because of me, because my best ideas landed me in a tunnel for 3 years talking to crickets. You know what I mean? And I listened to these people, and slowly but surely I had a psychic change, and that really became more focused on moving my life forward. And I met a woman that I got married to, and I've had a kid, and now today I'm the program manager at an inpatient treatment facility, and I help guys that are coming off the streets on their way to prison in drug court get on their feet and move forward with their lives. And that's something that, you know what I mean? In August 21st, I'll be sober, clean and sober for 3 years. Which means that today, 3 years ago, I was sitting in a tunnel with a flashlight on my head, and if you had told me today, 3 years ago, that I would be standing here with this opportunity, coming where I've come from, standing where I am today, I was so hopeless that I would really not have even laughed. To be honest with you, I just wouldn't have even heard it. There would have been no real, like, I couldn't have even fantasized at that idea because I was so hopeless, you know? And where I'm at today is something that I can tell you simply came and was born out of opportunity that I just grabbed a hold of. That's really all it was. Is I had the option to go left or right, and for the first time in my life, I went right. And that's really all I can say, and I really appreciate you guys having me here, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you, Paul, for sharing that story. That's just amazing. Take a breath here. Back to that 100% joyous celebration of life thing. Yeah, the finding a way to live our best lives and to help other people live their best lives. There's a really fundamental thing that Assembly does at its core that helps with that. Letting people know they're not alone. Here, certainly I've heard a number of our regulars express this, and then at the conference hearing, everybody else's story. The idea that keeps getting repeated is, I walked through the door and I found my people. That's probably the biggest part of the experience that we're trying to create here. And Assembly is not supposed to be just a show that is put on for you as an audience. It's supposed to be an experience that the community creates together. It happens in a variety of ways, certainly coming to the monthly assembly, singing, interacting, mingling, making friends, to actually helping organize things. Maybe creating content up here, getting speakers, hosting events in between assemblies, maybe helping out Emily with childcare, maybe with kids who want to donate some time with that. So this is where I get to the part of doing even better. I don't know about you, but well, let me ask you this for a show of hands when I'm done. How many times in life have you had a task, something that you needed to get done, that was difficult, but because of time constraints, even though you knew that if you had like 2, 3, 4, 5 other people, the time and energy it would take to find people to help you with that task, get them up to speed, seemed prohibitive enough in the moment that you just went ahead and like, I'm just gonna get it done. Yeah. So this is where the organizers here need to definitely get better. There's a lot of overlap on the board of the Sunday Assembly and also the Center for Science and Wonder, trying to keep this place viable. And being stretched a little thin, we've gotten into the habit of kind of just getting it done. And that's not getting the most out of Assembly for us or for other people involved. We want this to be that joyous celebration of life, and we want to have that sense of ownership that, like, okay, yeah, we get burned out a lot, and it can be a slog, but there's a sense of joy in just creating this for people and letting as many people as possible have a little piece of that joy. That's where I'm going to try to do better, is bringing people in and hopefully having the other organizers do that too. Now, particularly for our regulars, I would ask for you guys to do a little better. Today's assembly was amazing, no words for it. But there have been some assemblies where I know people have walked out and went, I didn't really leave feeling connected or inspired. It wasn't really the thing that I came here for. What I would say is that instead of maybe saying that to yourself, that the thing you say is, the next time, how can I help to make sure that I have that experience and that I have other people, have that experience also. And in particular, getting up and sharing your stories. Everybody who didn't raise your hands because you said you weren't afraid of public speaking, personal stories are the most powerful things. When we get feedback from people about what they loved about various assemblies, it doesn't matter how great or learned a particular speaker is, it's the personal stories, it's the things that make people feel. Those are the ones. So I don't want to scare away any of the people who are new here today, and there's quite a few of you, but I'm going to be sitting by the door over there, so you're going to have to pass me. Don't worry, new people, unless you're like raring to go, and then I'm happy to have you. But in particular, people who have been here a few times and are regulars. Come by, tell me how maybe you want to help make the next assembly better, or future assemblies better. Speaker committee, I would love to have a speaker committee and have that done by committee instead of one person doing it, and also just have voices heard. Because it doesn't always have to be the thing that I think you guys want to hear. Let me hear what you guys really want to hear. Hosting events in between assemblies during the month. We have potlucks, we have various things. We can always use more. It can even be as little as, I am so sick of donuts. I'm going to bring some cupcakes next time, or whatever it is, to help out with that. Yeah, so that is my plea. And let's say you are a person who's like, yeah, no, I just want to come and say, we are also a nonprofit. We need cash. So there is a monthly draw that we have that we would love to get more people signed up for because it does help us plan things. Okay, so that's enough with me getting serious. And now we're going to go to some announcements. So we have our potluck and new member welcome every Wednesday at 6:30. On June 9th, we're going to go to Ronald McDonald House. If you're interested in that, see Sean, the strawberry blonde in the front. Also, if you want to ask questions about the Assembly Conference, because Sean was there with me. We're going to make a meal for the residents there on June 9th. And that fills up pretty quick because I think we only have like 10 spots, and it's really fun. It's a great experience. But in July, on the 8th and the 22nd, we're going to bake cookies there also, so that's another opportunity. On the second Tuesday of the month, Mel Littman, who is here, there's Mel in the middle, he holds a discussion group. The last one was really lively, kind of in that radical inclusivity thing, like let's say somebody who's alt-right
It was really great.
comes into the room. Are we welcoming that person? They got pretty heated. Yeah, it was great. This month is Without a Religious Belief, Where Do We Find Meaning, Purpose, and Morals? So June 13th at 6:30 for that. Family movie night doesn't really apply now because we moved it up to 2 p.m. It was at 5, but with the summer, to have like a nice air-conditioned spot for families to go in the heat of the day, that's going to be on the 17th at 2. We haven't picked a movie yet. I'm going to put a poll up on Facebook if anybody wants to help with that. As was discussed earlier, June 23rd is the Story Slam. It's not an assembly event, it's more purely a seesaw event, but it does help support the venue because we do sell tickets to it. And it's amazing. Stories, listen to people's stories. If you like The Moth or Snap Judgment Live, don't know if anybody here has listened to those. It's great. And if anyone here is interested in getting a secular grief support group going, I've had a couple of queries to the website and in emails, and there are a few people who seem like they might want to get that going. And if there's anybody else where we can get enough like critical mass to get that going, that's something you can see me about in there. And there's no assembly in July. Kind of falls on that weekend before 4th of July. The likelihood of people coming to assembly, they might. But instead, this is a big part of it, we have a documentary filmmaker who's going to bring his film, and this was the one day that he could do it, so we swapped out. It's A Better Life, an exploration of joy and meaning in a world without God. And the filmmaker is going to be here. We can sell tickets for it. We do have a ticket site up, but we're not sure of the time yet, so that's one little hiccup. And yeah, now is John. Oh, there he is. John's going to talk to you for a second, and then this is John Laughlin. And then we're going to have the band come back up when John is done.
Cassandra, you forgot game nights on Wednesdays at 8.
Oh, is it on the calendar yet? Okay, game nights, Wednesday at 8. Thank you.
Cool. Hey. Hey, Paul, can I ask you to come back up here for a minute? Yeah, give it a hand. I'm gonna do it when you want to. So, typically this is the part where the music comes down and there's kind of a slow, trickling moment where everybody says, now we're going to pass around the collection plate. We're not going to pass around the collection plate because we're not going to put you on the spot like that. But did you enjoy the content of today? Have you enjoyed content here in the past? Do you enjoy having a community to commune with? So I ask these questions because we reach a point sometimes where, and I'm guilty of it, I pay attention to the parts that I like and the parts where, you know, maybe there's a little sacrifice involved. They hurt, you know. I get it. But what I'd like everybody who's able, you know, if it's not going to take food off of the table, obviously, but if you're able to, you know, part with $5, $10, $20, whatever that is on a monthly basis, it helps our community continue to deliver content, and it helps us to keep these incredibly hot lights on. It you know, might buy us a second disco ball, you know. But the donuts aren't free, and what happens a lot of times is, you know, somebody just pays for this stuff out of their pocket, and that's all good. You know, I guess we could continue to do that, but at the end of the day, we have a community of people here, and it would be really nice if there wasn't, you know, 5, 6, 10 people that consistently help out. So if you're willing, and if you're able, see Cassandra, see Kevin, grab anybody who's been here a few times and ask them how you can contribute, if not a lot, at least a little bit to help pay for everything. I don't know if you've ever looked up the cost on leasing a location in Las Vegas, but it's not particularly cheap. So that's all I came up here to say. If you don't know how to do this yet, how to make it, you got your hand up? What can we do for you, sir?
I just wanted to ask you, in case anybody here is not in a position to donate dough, are there any hard goods that this place needs as it's in the process of development? Like an air conditioning unit, for instance.
I like it. Kevin, as he turns down the thermostat.
Maybe we need like a second air conditioning unit.
So, yeah, I'm sure there are some specific needs. So, in the interest of community and not making this run any longer.
Even volunteering time.
Absolutely, that as well. But talk to Cassandra, talk to me, talk to Evan afterwards, and let's figure out how to contribute enough between all of us that, you know, the burden isn't on 3 or 4 of us. So, thanks, guys. And when the band come back up, next time I'm going to be with you guys. It's been a fun month.
And if we could get everybody, if you can, to stand again, we're going to sing. Just really quick, we may do this in August, but the suggestion, because the Flying Spaghetti Monster, I think it was Carly's, was to pass around a colander instead of a hat. So we might do that.
Start us off.
This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. I roam and ramble and follow my footsteps through sparkling sands of your diamond deserts, and all around me our voice was singing. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to New York Island, from redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I went walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me those golden
and be joyous.
That's the word.